into StarCraft 2 action. I'm going to be starting off here on Golden Aura. My StarCraft 2 will show up in a second. There we go. Just having a black screen for a few seconds. That's okay. StarCraft just didn't want to be on the screen, but it's going to be on the screen for the next 8 or so hours. We've got a lot of SC2 planned, and it all begins in the top left-hand side of Golden Aura with DnS.
DnS. Oh, the double spin. And in the bottom right-hand side, his opponent, it is Strange.
That was the neat.
Where's his double spin? How did he... Oh, the double spin was
I realized that I forgot to go, because I was waiting for my StarCraft to load, I forgot to go on Nial's camera, so I was like, crap, I'll do the spin, and then I found Nial, and he was mid-spin, and yeah.
Oh, wow. That was a beautiful, like, double spin. It was like kind of like a, you know, like a double twist type thing.
That was an act of serendipity.
This is new.
Just complete accident, cool. But beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful accident. So yeah.
Beautiful accent, indeed.
PvP gets this matchup is kind of fun because of the Sentry. We got an update.
The Sentry, that is true. I mean, yeah, it's that unit just kind of kills everyone's shields, and there's no stopping it, right? Like, a lot of people don't like it. It is fun until it's not fun, or is it just fun? I don't know. What do you think? Do you think it's like healthy? It's good?
I think it's good because the Sentry encourages you to expand, right? Or it encourages just aggression in general, because typically sentries are very good at expanding, force fielding units out, getting you information with the hallucinations. So I think it promotes all the good parts of PvP rather than the aggressive, I'm gonna one base you and stuff, and that's still viable. It just makes certain openers kind of better as well. You can do so much off the Sentry, and Stargate is way less limiting against you, for example, because now the oracles can't just like zap down a Sentry really quickly, or a couple of adepts, so you don't just end up getting like punished for going for the Sentry as much. So I think it just kind of opens the door in a pretty cool way. And I don't think it's so like oppressive that it's just like you're building an army of sentries to like fight everything. They're still pretty terrible going across the map, right? So I think they're in a pretty good place right now. I kind of like them.
Okay, I dig. So it's just a little bit of a nudge towards macro and less kind of like less rock paper scissory stuff in the very early game. Yeah,
pretty much. Just kind of excited, like I said, to the cool stage of the game, you know, the part of the game we like to watch. So, yeah, just a little bit different. As openings like this as well, the 2 adepts used to be so powerful, because when you used to go double adept, right, you would be kind of able to kind of pressure the sentries in a big way and threaten the mineral lines, whereas now the adepts are way less of a pressure at the front because the sentries can hold their own. So just, again, it just broadens the horizons of what you can do, and you don't kind of end up taking, like, super huge damage to, like, 2 adepts, which kill a sentry, then they slip in, then they're killing workers, and it all falls apart. So, I don't know, it just feels like you have a more stable way to open, and, like I say, I think that's always a good thing to encourage the macro play.
Yep, well, the good news is we're going to see exactly what you're talking about. It's going to be 2 Stalkers followed up by 2 Adepts on the side of DnS already crossing the map. So looking to apply a little bit of pressure. There's already a shield battery, however, for Strange in the natural base, so I doubt that'll do too much unless there's nothing to defend it. So the Stalkers can actually get started on working on this shield battery. It's kind of a freebie for the time being. The Adepts are gonna threaten inside of the main, so the units have to stay pinned back there, and that's $100 for free.
Yeah, nice little grab. Always good to be able to get that stuff for free, right, and just be able to pick up those kills. So some early pressure is benefiting here, and the couple of adepts will threaten the base. Do they want to commit? They will. They'll go for a couple of workers here, and they will just get a couple of those before time is done. So nice little grab. Anything adds up, and now the Oracle's going to come in to double down on that. So DnS really hoping to get a bunch of damage done early, although this is going to be that hallucination tracking of the units with that to turn this Oracle away. So that's overall a decent defense, I'd say, for Strange. Yes, he lost a few workers initially, but he stopped it from being anything more than that. That keeps this in a very playable position.
Yeah, I wish DnS could have like kind of stopped his Oracle for a little bit and seen at least if some of the units are gonna go to the natural, because you know all the units are concentrated in the main. They just kill your adepts, and I think he had just the Oracle rallied, right, and didn't really stop it. But if that Oracle arrives like 5 seconds later, it actually probably finds less opposition and maybe a couple of probes.
Yeah, if things have already had like a chance to move around, exactly, it's gonna give you some more opportunity than what it did there, where you're right, he kind of already set up the defense for his opponent, then showed up with the Oracle.
Exactly.
Like, well, yeah, you've already done the hard part here. You know, throughout all of this, we've seen a bit of damage, but it is going to be equal workers coming out. It's a much faster blink for Strange. That's his advantage, so I'd say I kind of like this a lot for Strange, right? Blink is way sooner. He's going to have control of this map for the foreseeable future, however he wants to use that, whether that's to kind of take a faster expansion with, whether that's to go across the map and pressure with. This is really in his own hands now, so this is all on Strange to decide what he wants to do, and as DnS drops an expansion, I'd love to see Strange step on the map a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that is a very fast and greedy third. I think he's relying a lot on the oracles to kind of like threaten. Strange is just gonna match the expansion instead. But and Blink is here. If you can catch one of those oracles, then you can just go and kill your opponent's expansion pretty much, right? Like the only problem is when while you have two, it's gonna be always the threat of if you don't leave enough stalkers behind, like at least 3 or so, then you're gonna lose a bunch of probes to them.
Yeah, that's very true, and that weakens the numbers, and that might be enough to even, you know, with Blink, not be able to push in on the other side, so makes kind of sense to be, you know, a little bit respectful around those moments, and so that's what we see, and nothing really too wild happens. DnS is going to get to finish Blink. It is starting to edge out a little bit of a worker lead, but minimal enough. I wouldn't say that's going to be too decisive just yet. So TLDR, we've still got a long way to go here as we get set on game number 1 of this opening best of 3 today. Maybe a full day of action, so sit back, relax, enjoy. This PvP is already brewing to be a good one.
Yeah, for sure. And there's a move out actually from DnS who will find a probe probably at the 4th or whatever. I guess that's an observer at the 4th. So it's actually Strange that sees it. Will start with some force fields to try and delay. DnS is just gonna hold behind the force fields, but gets choked up a little bit. So taking a little bit more damage than he should. The one of the oracles will go down, so that's nice. Only 2 probes fall to it, and now there's an immortal on the side of Strange. So power shifting around here as immortals not yet available on the side of DnS. Robo only about to finish now.
Yep, so I get that charge coming up, so I don't mind DnS just kind of backing away here, trying to find a little bit of value. If there's nothing to be really had, then that's okay. There's nothing to be had, right? Just back away. You're in a good position back at home. You're not needing to do a ton of damage here or anything. You've got charge coming up. You're playing catch up on the upgrade as well, so yeah, I think it's time just to step back and just accept that this game ain't going anywhere early, and this is more likely going to be starting to see some of that later game tech in PvP, so perhaps that Robobay coming through, for example, and seeing something off of that. Feels like that is kind of the next step in this whole plan.
Yeah, no doubt. DnS continues to expand here, so he just wants to play the longer game. And I mean, he is kind of like the more well-rounded player in that sense, I think, at least traditionally. So I can't fault him for that. The Strange is actually going back for glaives, which is really interesting. It can be kind of a counter to charge lots, right? It's not a traditional one, like you're dumping a little bit more gas here and there to make it happen, but I don't hate it. It could be pretty cute, especially when you have already this many immortals to deal with the stalkers.
Yeah, I don't hate it. It's really good against like the initial kind of round of zealots from your opponent as well. So if he starts making zealots to kind of attack with his stalkers, the glaives just really delete the zealots. So in that regard, it's very good. But when it comes to scaling later in this game, more adepts do not do well versus what more zealots can achieve. So it's definitely a play for the right now rather than the future. So that's worth keeping in mind that, you know, for Strange, if he doesn't really do much with these adepts, I mean, I would kind of imagine he even turns this into an attack maybe with +2 or so. It's just all because he's being attacked and he will have these immortals to pack a punch on those stalkers like you mentioned, Cats. I kind of feel like we're ready to go across the map as Strange because, again, he does not scale well later in the game. He wants to do something right now, and he's very much so setting up to do a 20 army supply lead, and he's coming across the other side. 2 extra stalkers warping in to go with this, Cats, and we're about to see this big fight happen.
Yeah, it looks very scary indeed. I mean, this is a very scary force on the side of Strange. He hasn't worked in additional adepts just yet, and that's probably because he saw that there are no charge slots at the moment, not on this side anyway. There was a warping just already thwarted on the other side, and now he is getting those safety adepts, if you will, just to make sure that he can thwart whatever it is that that Strange goes for, that DnS goes for. A blink forward as well to gain himself a very good position, a very good concave here is Strange. Now funneling a little bit deeper than he needs to. He can just step back and take the Nexus for free, but he might just have enough to end the game regardless. It looks good, Wardicho.
It does look good right now here. Strange is looking fantastic. He's taking a great fight thus far, and it looks as though he's just going to double down with that as he keeps pushing through. Immortals are continuing to whack away on the Stalkers. The base has already been cleaned out of workers, and Strange is going to take the first game, Cats, just with a very solid timing. He took his upgrade lead. He ran with that. And he really just went with it. He said, cool, you know what? I've got my upgrade. I've got the glaives, which obviously, like we say, comes into play sooner but falls off afterwards more quickly. And he just hit that really good time where DnS just didn't quite have enough to do anything about it all. And that was that. Strange just comes across the map, says, yep, I'm not messing around today. And he's got a 1-0 lead.
Yeah, what a cool guy. I mean, that he really wasn't messing around. Just looking at the graphs here, like trying to understand where it all went wrong for DnS. What do you think, Guardicho? Is it the fact that he was trying to take that fourth? That he also bled a little bit of units on the other side of the map, right? Tech was a little bit later. The Stargate didn't do enough.
Bit of everything, isn't it, right? Because he's trying to go into Immortals. Strange has gone into Immortals successfully. DnS was very much so about the more basic units, right? DnS was behind the upgrade the entire time. So when it comes down to it, everything for Strange was in that moment. The 3 Immortals were in play. His Glaives was there. +2 was there. DnS trying to be aggressive and hold map control. Like you said, lost a couple of units. The Oracles haven't added anything for a while as well. I just think there was so much investment for DnS that never really saw the light of day. Whereas everything that Strange wanted was in that fight. Everything he'd built for. And like, again, as we say, if DnS holds in that moment, then he gets +2. Then he gets away with the 4th base. Then he's got charge over Glaives. That's way better for the future fights. But it comes down to that moment. And in that moment, it did feel as though Strange had everything ready. And he's going to set himself up 0-1 in this very important match for these guys as well. Because they are 0-1 in the group. So this is the difference of going 0-2 or 1-1. Obviously, could make for a very big difference in their future of this tournament. As in the bottom left-hand side, with that 1-0 lead here on Alcyone, our Red Protoss player is Strange.
And in the top right-hand side, it is DnS.
Beautiful.
Domain name service.
Love it. Love it, love it, love it.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it.
Cool first game,
Both
man.
players are going to be opening with, yeah, go.
I was just going to say, like, to me, that's very strange as well, like, in terms of how he played, to, like, hit a timing. Yep. Like, he's not always, like, an all-in or, like, a time-based player, but, like, he is very good at that part of the game as well, and I think he's at his best when he hits these timings, or he has this plan in his head from the start, like, I want to go at this point in the game and do this. Or if this happens, I want to hit at this timing. To me, that's when Strange really does his best sort of work. And I think it was just such a great example of what Strange is as a player. So that was really cool to see.
Yeah, for sure. Very methodical as well. I loved how he kind of just was always on the Oracles with the Sentries. So he gets the Sentries, and then there's a purpose that's, they're purposeful, but adapted to whatever his opponent is doing, right? It's like, okay, you got a Stargate, you got an Oracle. I'm just going to hallucinate a Phoenix and put it on your Oracle and move around with it. And they really didn't accomplish anything as a result, the Oracles, right? So I like the idea of DnS to try to make something happen as well with the 2 Stalkers and the Adepts. But Strange also dealt with that pretty well. I mean, he did lose the shield battery. I don't know. Do you feel like DnS could have just stayed on the bottom, like pressuring the Nexus, or was there something better to do than shading the Adepts, or is that just still faded to open up like that these days?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of those moments where I don't think you can stick around forever. So I think you kind of take what you get and then leave before it's too late. Because if you stick around too long, then you can really get punished. Then you lose out in a big way. And if that happens, I think you end up in actually quite a bit of trouble. So yeah, I think I'm kind of okay with how that part of it went down. Just I really think like it's almost what you said. Like he got a few probes and the Oracle showed up almost too soon. And then it felt like we never really saw the Oracles do anything else, right? They were just constantly pushed back, and this whole Oracle tech never really achieved anything. The Adepts got work done, the Oracles didn't. Maybe it kept Strange at home initially, but Strange did the perfect thing for staying at home, which is just building up a good, strong army to eventually go with.
Yeah, he went for those Immortals, and yeah, even adding the Glaives was pretty cool. It's like you're saying. I think he identified his position. He was like, okay, I'm not gonna move out for this long, so I'm just gonna go ahead and prepare for when I can move out, and did that beautifully for sure.
Yeah. Well, this time we're going to see pretty much mirrored build orders, cats. We are just heading ourselves into that expansion, into that Twilight Council. We are similar on the unit counts as well. There's one less Stalker in the game, but that is really about it. So pretty much just seeing these guys matching each other, kind of blow for blow, in game number 2. And always interesting in a mirror matchup to see when the divergence will then come. When will these two kind of split apart. Are they both going to take different third base timings, or are we going to stay, you know, close together in the plan for that long? Like I say, lots of questions to be had over these next couple minutes.
For sure. And I guess we're anticipating blink on both ends, right? There's nothing really else that you could be going for at this stage in the game. And there will be a forge a little bit faster again for Strange. So prioritizing upgrades is maybe the first deviation, provided that DnS doesn't do the same in the next few seconds.
Yeah, that's true, right? The upgrades will start to be the difference, a difference in investment here already. So starting to see that come in from Strange. I mean, I just like this for Strange because I don't see how DnS gets aggressive enough to kind of kill Strange off. There's not that much of an advantage. So just kind of taking your forge sooner puts you in that better position. I gotta say, I like it a little bit more for Strange, but so much of this will also just come down to how a fight happens, how each of them control in one of those fights too. So in that regard, there's a very long way to go as well.
Yeah, for sure. I do like it though, right? Like, you're right, because there is that defender's advantage in StarCraft 2 and whatnot. So like the fact that you invest kind of like a minimal amount into the upgrades, it shouldn't be a large enough gap that it becomes exploitable. So if you know exactly what your opponent's doing and you're like, oh, we're mirrored, you know, upgrades or something like an expansion can be the easiest decisions that you can make, because it's like, okay, I'm gonna get ahead into the future without, you know, risking much right now, because you don't really have the capacity to do much about it. That said, they both go for an expansion, and this is trending maybe a little bit dangerous on the side of Strange, because DnS thinks that he can do something about it, and this is expansions plus upgrade.
Yeah, expansion plus upgrade. I guess still it's only really though the expansion over his opponent, because it's sorry, the upgrade over his opponent, because DnS expands too. So just don't see where the numbers are at to really still punish it, right? I mean, maybe if a couple of devs drop some units one way and then he goes the other, hits the hallucination both times actually. So the hallucinations are great here for Strange. That's massive for him. Wasted damage output from DnS. And in the end, it's still enough for DnS to kind of get through, because Strange has to go and deal with these adepts. So maybe this is going to work out. Honestly, I didn't really see the potential, but DnS did, and for now it's working.
This was beautiful from Strange, though. The fact that he actually goes back with his entire army to deal with the adepts. I mean, it's kind of counterintuitive almost. You sometimes want to send just enough units to deal with the adepts, but in this case, you want to deal with them as fast as possible. He's won the game off of that. Wow. I mean, this is over, right? Oh my god. Like, it's such an insane decision, I think, to be like, you're attacking my Nexus, and I'm gonna make the decision that you don't have enough DPS, despite that being a pretty large army, to kill it before I can go deal with the adepts and back, right? And he takes the entire army, which is gonna deal with the adepts the fastest that it can deal with the adepts, and still manages to come back to not just save his Nexus, but punish as hard as he did, and end the game. Wow.
Very cool, man. Just really spot on, like you say. He identified what he needed to do, didn't give up too much to do it, and because of that, is able to net himself a second game victory and a series win. Strange popping off